Well, thank you for inviting me in. George asked me about 4 months ago if I would do a presentation on Go boxes. I didn't tell George this, but I'm going to tell you all now. I'm not an expert on Go boxes. I am just another ham like you guys. I've built some Go boxes. The second thing I would tell you is I've never met an expert on Go boxes because I don't think one exists. We all have our own imaginations of what a Go box should be or look like or act like. But I've never met all the places I've been a ham. What year is this? 26. I've been a ham 56 years, and I have yet to meet an expert on Go boxes. What I hope to do tonight is show you, some things that I've done, share some wisdom, maybe from the way I've built them, and we're going to talk about other places that you can grab wisdom from to build your own Go box. Okay, I hope that's in line with what you're looking for, but that's what we're going to do. So when you hear the word Go box, what do you think of? I mean, anybody? What do you think of when you hear the word Go box?
Go bag in a box.
A go bag in a box. Okay. So for some people, a go bag is something like this, something that I can put my equipment in, I can pick it up, and I can walk out the door, and I've got self-contained everything in that go bag. For others, it's more of a mid-sized kind of a case that has some radio equipment in it. It might be VHF, UHF, could be HF in that Go box. And for still others, it's a much more sophisticated case that maybe has multiple radios, an antenna tuner, maybe some other analytic equipment in there to help me, maybe an antenna analyzer to help me figure out where we're going to go and how we're going to operate with a case. So there's different things that compose a Go box, and we're going to define this in a second. If you went out and did a Google search on ham radio Go box, you're going to see a wide variety of different solutions that are out there. There is no standard for a Go box with ham radio. Some of them are very simple, like these. I think these are ammo cases here, to mid-size boxes, all the way up to basically everything you can cram into a huge box and carry with you. It's really up to your imagination as to what you want to put into the Go box. I'm going to define three things because sometimes hams use these three terms interchangeably. And for tonight's discussion, I'm going to go with my definitions of what these things mean. And you may not agree with them, and that's okay. But just bear with me for tonight for the sake of the presentation here. So a Go bag is basically a bag that carries the radio, coax, antenna, maybe battery, minimal other items. You can literally grab and go and get on the air. That is what I call a Go bag, okay? A Go box, by comparison, is a container of some sort that primarily consists of the radio and power system, but you could have other things like antenna tuners, power distribution, a battery. You could have those things in a case as well. A Go kit is a little different. A Go kit consists of a Go box, antenna, coax, rope, stakes, headphones, computer, everything else that you need to get that Go box on the air. So again, just sort of defining what we're talking about with these three things. I'm going to be showing you examples of the first two here tonight. Why would you want to build a Go box? Anybody got any ideas why you'd want to build a Go box? Emergency services, anything else? Pardon me?
Field day.
Field day, contesting.
You take a field, you don't leave something important at home.
That's true. Kevin? Radio in the park, that's right. Well, I wrote some things down, and I had those three things, or you'll see on my list. I have a few others that maybe will inspire you to think about building a Go box. Public service, which is different than emergency services. So I like doing public service events. I help annually with the Denton County Turkey Trot, or Turkey Roll, it's called up there. I think it's the Turkey Trot down in Dallas, right? And in Denton, it's called the Turkey Roll. So I'm usually at one of the rest stops, and they tell us when we go out, well, you can just take an HT out with you. Well, if I'm 15 miles out, my 5-watt HT is probably not going to make it back to the repeater. I mean, if I'm 15 miles from the repeater. So I like building a go box to set up and operate from that rest stop area. Emergency communications, ARES and RACES. I was thinking about this a little bit when I was preparing this presentation, and I've got to believe that I was thinking back to last year and the flooding that happened in Central Texas, and I know that there were a lot of hams probably participating with their mobile radios, but I got to believe if you're into RACES and ARES, there were a lot of go boxes down there too, supporting that relief effort down there and trying to find the kids. So that's another reason why you might want to build a go box. Contesting, yeah. I mean, field day, winter field day, Texas QSO party, Texas State Parks on the air, whatever you like. Build a go box to take out and do contesting with. Some of us like to do POTA, SOTA, IOTA, parks on the air, summits on the air, islands on the air, XYZ on the air, whatever it is. You might like to take it out. I know some people that live in the Denton area that go out almost every weekend with their little go box to operate, which is cool. That's great for them. This next one is vacationing. And I'm like, why would you do that? Well, if you have a brother, sister, mother, father, aunt, uncle, cousin, nephew, niece, grandparent that you visit occasionally, let's say out in West Texas or East Texas, they've got a little ranch out there, and you go out, every other month, and you want to go out and operate out there, that's a good reason to build a go box. Now, I personally, my brother and sister live in Ohio, and we fly when we go visit them, but I always take my go bag with me, not a go box, but a go bag. And my wife, of course, gives me a lot of grief, like, why are you bringing that? We're up there to visit with your family. And well, okay, but we don't visit 24/7 over a 5 or 6 day period. And my brother, who still lives in the 1990s, he likes reading a newspaper. And so when he's reading his newspaper, he doesn't want to be interrupted. And that's okay. I can go on his patio and go to the other end of the patio and use my little go bag, and for maybe an hour, I can operate, because that's what turns my axles. That's what I like to do. So vacationing, think about it, that's a possible reason. How about maximizing the use of your radio equipment? And this is an interesting reason to build a go bag or go box. I've been very fortunate in my career. I made good money along the way, and so I built a home station there. And I said, I really want something. I'm in the swim lane for contesting probably more than anything else, but I'm a casual contester. I'm not a serious contester. Like I got to operate 24 hours exactly, not 23 hours and 55 minutes. I like contesting, but I don't do it just continuously during the contest. But if I build a go box and I use it as my home station, and I want to go to the field, I can unplug the power, I unplug the antenna, pick it up, take it out into the field, use it in the field, and then bring it back. I'm maximizing the equipment. I don't have to duplicate my equipment. And this is really a key point here, is that this forces you, by the way, to really get to know your radio. Because I'll use myself as an example. I have a Yaesu base station, FTDX 101, and I've got an FT 991 in my go box. Well, guess what? Every time I go out for something in the field, what I got to take with me is the manual, because even though it's Yaesu on both ends, the menu systems are different between them. And when I get out there, I try to scratch my head to remember what was that command to do this, and now I have to look through the manual to find a setting. And it's worse if you have like ICOM at one end and Yaesu at the other. So having a go box that you move back and forth to the field to your house kind of forces you to really learn your radio and all the menu systems that are in it. The last reason of why you'd want to build a go box, or might want to build a go box, is whoops, sorry, I went the wrong way, is just for fun. A lot of us like to build things, and this is not really like building electronics. We're not building a radio. We're not building an antenna analyzer or anything else. This is really a packaging issue when you're building a Go box. How do I package these commercial products together so that they work together? But I like doing it. I mean, I enjoy it a lot. I'm not the best at it, even though I've had some good teachers like Kevin and Lee Cheever in my lifetime. But I love doing it. It's fun. I'll show you some. We'll be looking at a lot of pictures here. All right. Think about what you want your Go box to do. Is it for VHF, UHF only? Is it for HF only? Is it DC to daylight? Is that what you're trying to do with your Go box? What about the modes? Sideband, AM, FM, CW, digital? These are the questions you have to answer to figure out, what's the best radio match for what I'm trying to do. Do I need a computer interface for it? And in most cases, in all cases, really, if you're doing digital, you do need to have a computer or some kind of electronic, an iPad or something that you're going to interface with your radio. Are you going to have AC to power it? Are you going to have a battery inside? Or are you going to have both inside your Go box? Those are things to think about. And you'll see some examples here from things that I've done in a minute. This is a fairly obvious chart, but the more features and functionality that you want, the cost is going to go up. So cost is always one of those things we got to be aware of, as hams, as we're looking at building anything. And again, the considerations for building a Go box, one is the cost, of course, how much you want to spend, the size and weight. So think about how far, if I'm going to do SOTA, which is summits on the air, it's a little different than parks on the air. A lot of SOTA applications, you can't just park and unload and operate there because the summit is a mile up the mountain, and you got to carry your equipment up there. In many cases, like for parks on the air, you may be able to back up to a picnic table and move it over. Kevin, Ron, and I, and Andy have gone out to a park in the past, and we pull into a cabin. So we may have to move our equipment 20 or 30 or 40 feet, but something that weighs 50 to 100 pounds, that can be a challenge to move it that far. So think about the size and weight of what you're going to be building. Wheels. Do you want to get a case that has wheels? And I would make a case, an argument. Most of the cases have these really small wheels on them. And they work great on concrete or tile or linoleum. But when you go to a park and you've got to go down a dirt road or a gravel road, that's not so good for these little wheels. Think about getting a case that has the bigger wheels to get across to wherever you're going to take your Go box to. Think about the mode that you're going to operate. And are you going to be using it for home and field or field only? Those are some considerations. This is an important one. Are you a solo operation when you're using this Go box, or are you part of a group of people? Now, when we have club-sponsored events like Field Day and Winter Field Day, we provide, as part of that, bandpass filters, so that, if we have 3 or 4 stations, and we all know what harmonics are, so somebody that's operating on 40 meters appears on 15, they appear on 10, they appear all over the place, right? So think about whether do you need a bandpass filter, because are you going to be using this if you got a group of friends that you're going somewhere to operate with? When Kevin, Andy, and I go out together, we take bandpass filters with us to operate. Oh, and computer connections again, if you need computer connections. And you got to figure out what kind of computer connections do I need? Is it a DB9 serial cable that I need to bring out? Do I need to bring a GPS connection out? Do I need an HDMI connection out? These are all things you kind of got to lay out again before you start building your Go box. So for field operations or HF operations, how small can we go? And I wanted to just bring this in. This is part of my Go bag. This is not a Go kit, but this is a Go bag. And I have this case like this. This is my Elecraft KX2, and you would be amazed what is packed in this 8-inch by 8-inch by 4-inch bag. I've got the radio, I've got 2 batteries, a microphone, a power charger for the batteries, a CW key, all inside this little case. So I have a digi-rig in here. I've got cables for hooking up to a computer. It's packed pretty well. Now, I put that bag inside this other bag over here, this green bag. Put this off the side. So this is my go bag. I put all this stuff in here, and what is all this stuff? Well, there's the radio and associated things. I've got a QRP guys end-fed antenna with 3 different lengths of wire end-fed. There's 15, 20, and 40 meters here. There's a coax, there's a headset, there's also a throwing rope and throwing weight in there. So I can literally go out to a park if I need to. I can throw a rope up in the tree. I can pull my antenna up, sit at the park bench, and get on the air very, very quickly. This is pretty short. It's about 20 feet because I usually put the antenna pretty close to where I'm operating. But, it's a weight issue. How much are you willing, and, do you have room for more coax, and how much are you willing to carry? And, for HF, for most of us, RG58 is plenty good. We don't need to, have the big coax for a lot of these things. So smaller coax works pretty well for HF. Okay, what about now for public service, ARES, where you might want a VHF UHF solution? And I apologize, I intended when George first asked me, I was planning on carrying all this stuff in here, but I'm unable to do that right now. So I want to show you what I've done for this particular situation, because I do a lot of the public service events. I'm not in ARES anymore. I was when I lived in Plano, but since we moved to Frisco, I'm kind of taking that off the scope of things I do with ham radio. So I built 2 cases. This is the radio case, and this is the power case. And I did that because I didn't want to have a bigger case to carry everything with. I wanted 2 smaller ones. I can make 2 trips if I need to. There are times when I may not even need the power case, but I always take it with me when I go out. Now notice, these are go boxes, so there's no antennas here, there's no ropes, there's nothing, there's no coax here. This is just the go boxes themselves. And this is kind of what it looks like on the inside. I'm going to dive into what it looks like. These are Pelican cases, by the way. I built these cases 20 years ago. And there weren't, well, I'll say it's on me. I didn't look as hard for a cheaper case. The Nanook has cases that are a fraction of the cost of Pelican now that you can get, and Harbor Freight even has cases. I don't know, are those Nanook down there at whatever they are? They're much cheaper than the Pelican cases. I had to drill, 1 hole. I'm one of these people that I don't want my coax coming over the lip of the go box. So I drilled a hole and put a barrel connector in here so that I could hook my coax up to it here. And this particular radio happens to be a TM V71A. And there were a generation of radios. I love this radio, by the way, because it's easy to program. But the reason I love it is because the VFOs are side by side. All the modern radios seem to stack the VFOs one on top of the other. Well, why would you care? Well, if I have a repeater that I'm net control on this coming out of this speaker, and this is a simplex frequency over here on this one that we're using, I don't have to look at the screen because I know if it's coming off the left, that's the repeater. Okay, somebody's calling me on the repeater frequency. I don't have to look at the VFO to figure out, and my brain, for whatever reason, doesn't map very well the vertical. Maybe some of yours do, but mine doesn't. This was always so much easier. The Yaesu FTM 350 was like that, and I was very disappointed when Yaesu came out with the FTM 400 and they had them stacked on top of each other. And of course, they're continuing down that path. So what did I do to build these? Inside, this is the body of the TMV71. And then what you see here is called a power gate. We'll talk about that for a second. And underneath it is a battery. And this is my second generation on this particular configuration. And then here's where the coax comes out. And the things that are in here, that's the list of the things that are in here. And so how do I do this? Well, I go down to Walmart and I start by buying a $5 cutting board at Walmart. And then I trim the edges so that it fits in the bottom of the case, okay? Now for the radio, we're gonna use a mobile mount. So the mobile mount, which you can see the screws here on the side, you can't see them here, but the mobile mount is bolted to the bottom of that cutting board. On this side, however, what I do is I cut some slots in the, using just a little Dremel tool, I cut slots and I use wire ties, big wire ties to hold it down. And now there's also Velcro between this power gate and the battery. I said this is second generation for me. My first generation used sealed lead acid batteries. And what I would find is that the sled batteries would last, when they were new, they would last a couple hours. They did really, what they're supposed to do. But when I put it on the shelf for 3 months and then come back, it really wouldn't charge up very well. And but I used that for many years that way until last year. I reimagined this with LiPo batteries in it. But to do that, I had to change out the power gate because they're different. Well, the power gates are different from a sled battery and a LiPo battery, how they charge them. Since I built this one, originally, and this was originally a West Mountain radio power gate, which were expensive. They're like $150. And this one is from somebody else. I think it's a Chinese manufacturer. It was still $100. Radan, yeah. But there are Chinese, variants that you can get on Amazon that are, much cheaper. This is more in the $40 to $50 range. They work okay. Does everybody know what a power gate is? Yes, no? Okay, well, just briefly, you supply 12 volts into one of these ports here, and then it feeds that out to your radio, okay? And then you also attach a battery here. So as long as you have 12 volts coming in, or 13.8 volts, it's going to trickle charge your battery. What happens, and this happens, frequently, like at contests when we're running on a generator, the generator runs out of fuel and your power source goes away. Well, the power gate is supposed to flip over right away so that you continue operating on the battery that's in there. And like I said, the sled batteries lasted 2 hours. I used this last fall for the Denton turkey roll, and I was there about 8 hours running off of this battery. Now, a lot depends on what your ratio of transmit to receive is. We were very low, we weren't transmitting a lot. We were receiving mostly information. So 8 hours is, that's pretty darn good. But if you're in RACES or ARES or public service kinds of applications, you got to keep that radio up. You don't want it to go down. So this is a good place to have the battery. I didn't have room in here and I didn't want to cram it. And by the way, the only downside to this particular configuration that I've done is that I got to stick a cable in the back to program the radio, which fortunately I don't have to do it very often. But if I were to go to a new event that I've never participated in, I could punch in the frequencies from the microphone and do it. I hate that. That's not my thing. I want to plug a cable in, do it on my computer, I read it, and I put in the new frequencies, and I write it back out. I can't do that here. This cutting board is not attached to the Pelican case. So what I do is I remove the barrel connector, I remove the PL259 from here, and basically I can lift this whole thing out. Now, I still got this issue here, so what I do is I loosen the screws on the mobile mount, and I tilt it up, plug the cable in, program it, pull the cable out, put it back, tighten it, sit it back in, and I'm in business. So when you have tight spaces, try to think creatively about what you could do there. This is the power case, and there's nothing sophisticated or fancy about this at all. Basically, it's just a power supply in the Pelican case, and I brought some leads out, which is what I normally use just to connect to my VHF UHF box. But I've run into situations where people have asked, can I plug into your distribution panel? So I put a distribution panel, and I can feed that distribution panel and provide power for other people if they want. So that's all that's involved with this. And like I said, there's no blueprint for what you do. It's really your imagination. What is it that you want to do or be able to do? You can make this as sophisticated or as simple as you want. I make mine usually very simple. But I've seen some, the guys have like 10 gas gauges, on the outside, and they're monitoring everything that's going on in the box, from voltage to current to heat to you name it. And they're, that's cool if that's what you want to do. Okay. Lastly, if you're in the contesting, POTA SOTA, Islands on the Air, even for public service and ARES, you want to do it all. So now you may want to build a more sophisticated box like this. You may have multiple radios in the box, a speaker, this is an antenna tuner. Again, it's just up to your imagination of what you want to put into a box like this. This is not my box, by the way. This is just a stock photo that I captured just to show you what a box looks like that's more sophisticated. Okay, so let me share with you what my strategy is that I started in 2017, because that's when I built my HF Go box. I'm like, I want DC to daylight, I want this, I want that, and I originally started off with a 19-inch case that was about this tall, and I pretty quickly realized I can't pick that sucker up, and it doesn't have wheels on it. I still got it. It's in my garage. It's for sale if you want it. What I chose to do is I chose kind of a modular strategy. So I have 3 boxes. So the first box is the Radio Go box, and I'm going to detail and show you what's in my Radio Go box. The second box is a networking Go box, and the third box is a filtering box. And I designed this strategy so that the boxes could be used in conjunction with each other, or they could be used with one other box or by themselves. So if Ron's our field day marshal, and he came to me and said, "Hey Tom, can we use your filtering box?" Sure, we can use my filtering box. I don't have to have the other 2 boxes for that. So let's take a look at this. The Radio Go box looks like this. I actually ran into the vendor for this box, which is not available anymore, by the way. It was a guy out of Dayton and this was really kind of on the early slope of POTA. POTA was just starting to take off, and he found a little niche to build these, Go boxes, and it was fairly clever what he did. He's got a panel on the left that has a speaker for the radio. It has a head jack. There's some some USB outputs for power. There's a DC, like for a, what do you call it in a car, the old cigarette lighter output, which I use, by the way. I've got a little light that's got a cigarette lighter on it. I plug it in there, and that's my light for my area when I need light. The other side of the panel, and by the way, this is a 19-inch case, but he put on a ground lug here, and then he's got holes here if you wanted to bring your your cable out, your coax cable. You can put a barrel connector through there and bring your cables out the front. Again, this is my quirk. I don't like having very much stuff coming out in the area where I'm writing and taking notes. I want it to come out the back.
I know why he's no longer around. He called it the iPortable. Apple got him.
Probably. It was a great box. It was expensive. I think that case, the way he had it, was about $250. So I went looking for him. He's not around anymore. And that's because hams have figured out, yeah, that's nice, but I can, for a fraction of the cost, I can buy a case for $50 or $70, and build what I want in it. Doesn't look maybe quite as finished. Now here's the back, and you're going to have some kind of a panel like this to bring your coax and other connectors out the back. And I learned by being around other people. And I got to give, this is a small kudo, but to Kevin, you see these little connectors, or what do you call these, Kevin? They're just a cap. It's just a little cap for the connector there. Well, before I saw Kevin's that had this on, thank you, Kevin, I just had regular little caps. And I'll bet you over 3 or 4 years, I probably lost 5 or 6 of those caps. I mean, I thought I would take it out and put it in my pocket or something, and I'd go to find it when we're packing up. Where's the dang cap? I've lost it. So Kevin taught me that you can buy these with the little chains on them, and they just hang there. So what you'll see here is there's a power supply here. There is another power gate here, and then this is a distribution panel over here. And what you don't see in here is there is not a battery in here. Okay, now why wouldn't there be a battery in there? Any guesses?
You've got a battery box.
It adds weight, yeah. It adds weight to it. And really, if this is my contesting HF box, if I go off the air for 5 or 10 minutes, while they're refueling a generator, okay, no big deal. I probably got to go to the bathroom anyway, right? So, I don't put a battery in there. But I made provisions to have a battery connected here externally, if I needed to. So I can attach a battery here, and the system will charge the battery. You'll see a little antenna that's kind of bent underneath here. That goes on the 2.77 centimeter. So the 991A does DC to daylight. So I've got that. I've got a little bag that has my accessory things in, like the microphone. So this makes for a nice little case. It's not particularly heavy. I can carry it. If I carry it 30, 40 feet, I'm comfortable doing that. All right, my networking box was based on David Duke, his design. David was an IT guy that I think worked for the city of Carrollton. Am I right about that, David? Well, at least when I knew him, he worked for Carrollton. And little story, this goes back probably 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago. David Duke, Kevin, Andy, Ron, and I would go out. We like to work the Texas QSO party, so we would go out to Fort Richardson State Park, and we would rent a couple cabins or 3 or 4 cabins out there, and we would set up one of the cabins as our operating cabin. And we had a ball. We called ourselves the Cinco 5. We did that for 3 or 4 years before David passed. But the first year we went out, we had always used a Windows machine as our file server. And we used N3FJP software. So it worked well. And all 5 of us, if we had our own PCs, we made sure if we were leaving on Friday, Thursday night, do a Windows update. And then we would get out to this campsite on Friday and turn the Windows machine on. Oh, you need to update. And sometimes Windows wasn't very nice about it. It didn't give us an option to say no. It just said, nope, we're going to update. It's a security update, and you can't live without it. Trust me. So David designed a Raspberry Pi solution, which has I think an Ethernet hub on it. And so we used that for a couple of years before he passed, and that worked out great. When he passed, I think that, and it was on a piece of plywood actually. It was willed, I think, on a cutting board. Okay. You still have it. Okay, so we have that. Well, I loved what he did and I learned a lot from him. But I said, I want something that's a little more rugged that I can carry. So I'm going to create my own kind of networking box. And this is what the front of it looks like. Now, David used a Windows with a Telnet session to his Raspberry Pi machine. So what I did was I found a monitor that's built for the Raspberry Pi, and that monitor you see on the left there actually tilts back and forth, and the Raspberry Pi fits on the back of that monitor. So Bluetooth keyboard, power supply, and here's a little note too, you know, these power supplies, they don't come with mobile mounts. So you'll see that I've used wire ties again to wrap it or keep it down tight on that tray. When you look at the back, mine is a little different. I have a wireless router here, and then I have an Ethernet hub, which allows us the option to use either wireless to connect to the Raspberry Pi, or we can hook up Ethernet cables if that's our preference. You see what this is over here is a battery in there. And why would that be?
Wi-Fi needs it. The Wi-Fi needs it. The Ethernet switch from
Right. Well, if you're contesting and making contacts, you know, when you hit enter for that contact, it goes to the file server. You don't want the file server to be down. That file server's got to be up to record that contact. Now, so you'll see the battery, and I was writing the dates on here, and I need to do a new iteration of this box to put in lithium ion batteries in here because for lithium phosphate batteries, because this is a sled battery. It's 2022, 4 years old. It isn't going to hold a charge for very long. You'll see a distribution panel here, and you'll see some other things here, which I was going to zoom in on, but I'll just talk about it. These are voltage converters here because the Raspberry Pi needs 5 volts to operate. So we're going from 12 volts to 5 volts here. Let's see what there's a better picture of it there. And again, you see how I keep these down. This is a wire tie going, and I didn't cut these. This is the way the tray came. So I'm just using wire ties to keep everything down. Okay, so the third box is a filtering audio box, and this is a picture of it. It has a lot of things in it, actually, and I am very embarrassed to say that it's almost 5 years to the day that I bought the box and the parts, and they're still in my closet. I have not built this yet. What I have here, this is an Array Solutions filter that does 10 through 160, so we got 6 bands here. Kevin has one of these, I have one. You would use this in lieu of the individual filters that we had. The new ones are expensive. They're about $800 or $900 in that range, I think, for new ones. So, and then this is a tuner. Why would you need this? This is, again, when you're using bandpass filters, the sequence is you want your, radios, most of our HF radios have tuners built in, right? So why do you need another one? Well, when you're using bandpass filters, you want the tuner to be on the other side of the filter. So you have radio, filter, antenna tuner, antenna. So and the reason is because these filters can be very sensitive to power and being out of band. So when you hit the tune button on your FT991A and it starts putting out voltage and it's looking for SWR, you can damage these. In fact, where were we? I don't remember. I think we were at where was the last place we had field day? We're at the fire station off of 35 there. I had one of my filters there on loan and it got damaged because somebody had changed the band and tuned up and boom, fried my filter. It was an easy fix, but for the manufacturer. So anyway, I've got this. One of the things I wanted to add, power supply in the lower left. You've got a DSP module up there to help eliminate noise. A lot of times, when you're logging and you're a serious contester, it's really better if you have somebody doing the logging for you and you're just focused on making the contacts. Most of the headsets, or a lot of the headsets today, have a plug, so you can plug another headset into yours. And I'm specifically familiar with the Heil headsets, so you're both hearing the same thing. The problem is as I've gotten older, that old volume knob goes up and up and up so that I can hear it. And if it's a young guy like Greg over there, I'm blowing his eardrums out. So this is a little device here that allows me to have up to 4 headsets with individual volume controls on it. So if I have a logger, and let's say we've got a public person here that was part of visiting, they can listen and they can adjust their own volume to their own level. So this has been on my drawing board for 5 years. I got all the pieces. I just got to take some time to put it together. And by the way, I carry this with me almost all the time, when this and the antenna tuner, anytime we go out. Okay, there's what some of the cases look like. You can find these on Amazon. This is the case I was going to show you. You see these indentations, or this little bump here. The case that on the bottom side has the indentation the other way. So when it sits on there, it locks in place and doesn't move. I wouldn't get this case for me because the wheels are too small, but there are cases. I like the handle, and I like the fact you can pull it, but I'd be looking for something with a little bit bigger wheels on it. Okay, here's the cases. I'm assuming most people are familiar. The data centers are standard kind of 19-inch wide, right? And how tall it is, they're generally quoted in what's called a U. A U is 1.75 inches. So this is probably a 4U case here. That's what I have, are 4U cases. And one of the nice things about it, I'll stick around. I'm sorry the folks on the video can't see this, but this is called what do we call these? It's got 4 vertical bars on it. So you see the 2 in the front, you see the 1 in the back here and here, so that when you put a tray or a drawer or something, you see how over here you can mount it on the front and the back. So it makes it very sturdy. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere.
4-post rack.
4-post, yeah.
The other is a data center rack, or a datacom rack.
Datacom rack, yeah.
Telco rack.
So mine is a telco rack. I don't have all that fancy stuff for my 991, but it has 4 screws holding it in place, and I've hauled that thing all over, and it's never come off. So, you know, all these options like this, by the way, these trays, they're all on Amazon. I mean, we used to have to go down to Altex or someplace to, you know, wherever your favorite store was to find these, but you can find them on Amazon, eBay. They're all over the place. So here's some of your tools of the trade. This is what I use, the HVAC hanger strap, a roll like that, and that's what I use for power supplies. Anything that most of the things that are heavy, that don't have a mobile mount, I use this hanger strap. You can get a roll of $5 down at Home Depot or that. I use the wide Velcro, the big heavy duty zip ties, and Lee Cheever introduced me to this. I didn't know what it was until I met Lee. And this is from a company called Greenlee. And what it does is it punches perfect holes in your rails. And it's a little device like this. You will drill a center hole, and then this comes apart, and I can pass this around. But you put this through the hole, and then this is the cutting side of it. You put this on, and then you use a couple of wrenches, one on each side, and you turn it down, you crank it down, and it literally just cuts a perfect hole in this aluminum. And what you need for like a barrel connector is a 5/8 inch type of hole. That little thing right there costs about $85 on Amazon. I don't know how, but I've got 3 of these. On one of my slides, you may have seen that I had a USB connector that comes out. Well, Greenlee makes square cutout tools too, which I didn't know. Again, Lee introduced me to that. But dang, they're expensive. I mean, the smallest square which I'm not even sure would be good for USB, starts at about $350, and they go up to $1,500. And as many tales as I've told my wife as to why I need to have something, I just cannot justify spending a lot of money on a tool that I'm going to use 2 or 3 times. But it's a cool tool. Don't forget your label maker. Again, kudos to Kevin. I had used about 3 or 4 different label makers in my time until I started looking at the way Kevin made his Go boxes. I said, how in the world did you do that? And he introduced me to this P-Touch, the Brother P-Touch, and it's a fabulous little tool. They're not real expensive. I think they're $75, $85. But that's something you can use not just for a Go box. You can use that for a lot of things.
So for the Zoomers, Kevin was just saying that on Amazon you can find an insert for the Brother printer. It's a cartridge with shrink tubing, and it will print on the shrink tubing, and then you spit it out of the printer and slide it onto the cable and hit it with a heat gun, and you've got a very professional looking, won't go anywhere label. So thanks for that, Kevin.
Okay. So where can I get ideas from? How about our club members? I mean, just think about tonight. Hopefully you learned 1 or 2 things from, Kevin or me or somebody else. If you ever go to a ham fest, especially a big one, there are hams out there, believe it or not, that could care less about operating. They get their axles rolled by making Go kits. And I ran into a guy at Dayton several years ago. He had like 3 or 4 or 5 Go boxes made there. And he said, here they are. I'm not asking for any big premium on them. And he had Kenwood in one, ICOM in another, and Yaesu in another. For me, they weren't the right configurations, or I might have considered buying it. But you don't have to buy it. Just look at it and talk to them and see, how did you make that? How did you do that? Go to public service events. You'll see Go boxes there, the VHF, especially VHF, UHF ones. Did you know that the Louisville Club this is their 8th year for a Go Kit Challenge? It's up in Louisville, and it's coming up on March 21st from 8 to noon. Actually, the awards are given out at noon. So you will see some of the most sophisticated Go boxes. They have 3 categories. I can't remember. There's a, kind of the portable Go kit that you would carry out to a park. They have a mobile, and I think they have a Go bag category as well. But there's lots of people up there. And I mean, in this one spot, you're going to see 20 or 30 different solutions for Go boxes up there. So I have never been, but I'm going to go this year. I want to go see what some of these things look like. Social media, Facebook. There is a Go Kit Go box group on Facebook. So I'm going to give you these slides. I'll make sure the club has them on our website so you can click on this and find it and join it. I've looked at dozens and dozens of Go boxes on Facebook, and believe it or not, there's even a YouTube channel for these things. So you got lots of places to go to get ideas, which leads me to the last thing is, what are you going to build? The only advice I can tell you is that if you have kids, or if you're married and you have a spouse, whatever you build, when you pass, it's probably going to go someplace where you don't want it to go. So just keep that in mind as a cost issue when you build.
Thank you, Tom. That was awesome.